Thank you for tuning into the Pre-Patch Podcast, and check out these patch notes.
But another game that does that well is has open world, but has I think still a similar issue, right? Is again, Diablo 4 has been out. This is my first time on the show since actually being able to talk about it. Um,
We were saving it for
uh,
Sin.
Yeah,
but
I
I
could have talked
appreciate
about it
that.
last night or last time.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about it last week.
I wanted to talk about it
I
too.
got a lot to say about this game this week, so we're gonna have an enjoyable fucking conversation on this one.
So you brought up open world and not being a fan of, or being in the minority. I don't think that you're actually in the minority. I think doing open world is actually and doing it well is
Well,
actually
yeah,
very, very
it's
difficult.
extremely difficult.
I so Diablo 4, one of the draws that I like to it is that it does have this open connected world feel, like unlike Diablo 3 where it was very, act heavy, zone heavy, kind of stuff like that. What myself and Enigma have both talked about is the world itself is beautiful. And Enigma said it, like it's great to have a beautiful world, but when you're walking around,
And
especially
there's
when you
nothing
don't have
there.
a horse and a
Yeah,
mount, and you kind of feel like, is the world the only thing I'm here to see because
yeah.
there's not enough to do?
This game
Um,
is legitimately up until you hit Act 5 and get your horse. This game is like the Walking Simulator 2023. Like
it's
legitimately,
yeah,
it's
it's
almost
rough.
as bad as Daisy. Like I think Daisy is a lot worse for it. Like it's almost there, but it's like it's like
It,
Daisy's little brother in terms of like walking sim.
the problem that it does too is like, and once you get to, but don't get me wrong, let me tell you something. I'm loving the game. I am fucking dumping hours into it. I am mainlining this game. Like I'm loving it. But
Blizzard chill.
yeah, sure. I don't want to talk about how much money I've already put in
Yeah, I
this
was
game.
about to say
We're not bringing that up.
you
We're
don't
not bringing it
know
up.
how actual like truthful that is.
I don't want to know how much money you've put into Overwatch too.
Don't worry. I didn't. I just bought. I bought the. Yes, I bought the fucking edition that I got fucked over on. So, uh, for Overwatch 2. Thanks, Bill. Anyway, Bill, have you beaten the game? Have you
I
beaten the
am
con?
in at the end of Act 5 right
Okay,
now, so
so
I've been
this is
slow
where
rolling it. I've got like 3 characters at level 20 and then my main, which is the Necro right now at level 45.
so this is mainly to Enigma then. Like I think personally that the world becomes more enjoyable once you not once you just get your horse, but literally once you feel that you finish the campaign, you open up your the Tree of Whispers, and now you have that content
Well,
to like warp to,
you're
travel through, and
yeah,
actually do shit.
you're not ramrodded into the storyline, which don't get me wrong,
Right.
playing the storyline was amazing the first time. The first time. The first time. Let me just again air quote the first time. I am not looking forward to the new season, having to go back through that fucking storyline again.
Wait,
Like
Wait,
they
did they say
confirmed
they
did
that
they
you're
say
confirmed it.
that?
Yes. Yes, they confirmed
Wait,
that
wait, I know you
you
had to create
have
a
to
new
go
character.
back. You have to create a character and you will it's going to be exactly like the Diablo 4 or Diablo 3. You're going to have to completely redo the entire storyline over again. Just like every other Diablo that's come out.
Oh,
So,
that's miserable.
yeah.
are
I
you gonna
thought it
have
was
to
just
get
you had
all
to
the
create a new
Lilith
character.
statues again?
You won't
No,
have to get
Lilith
the Lilith
statues
statues.
are
All
count
of your
better.
unlocks, so like all of your unlocks when it comes
Like
down to
map
like
and
the
stuff is
Lilith
open
statues,
too?
the map will not be open that I know of. I think
Ugh.
you're still gonna have to uncover it with the Fog of War.
And you won't have the horse?
But the Lilith statues will I don't actually I think you will have the horse. I'm not
You will
entirely
have your
sure
horse.
about
Oh,
that.
thank
Your
God.
horse
I'm
is
pretty
account
sure that
bound.
anything account bound that you have, so when it comes down to like the Lilith statues, the Obol increases, the Paragon. I don't know about the Paragon
Your
points,
Paragon board won't be
and
unlocked.
I'm not sure about the talent points. I think you're gonna have to regrind for the talent points, maybe.
You'll
I
have
don't
to.
know.
So you're
What
gonna
about reputation
if
and
they're making
stuff?
Yeah.
if they're making it a regular thing, like a brand new build, you get your. It's just like you create a new character, except you are gonna have to go back through the story. Like if that like they've got to. I think they'll backtrack on that. There's no fucking way that they're gonna make us go back through the story again.
I
Dude,
don't think there's gonna be enough content in the season. I think it's fluffer
It
for the
won't. Yeah, no,
season to slow
100%.
people down. I don't think they have
That's
enough
it's
going on
miserable,
with it.
man.
just let me
Blizzard
make
don't give a
sure.
fuck, dude. They want you to play as long as possible with as minimal effort as possible. If they make you play through that story again, that's a whole lot of content they don't have to make because
That's
it's still going to
miserable
eat
if
up
they
your
make you do the
time.
story again. Because unlike the story, it because the problem is that the way that the game is set up to do that, Diablo 3 was set to be like, cool, I can just boom, 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 boom. I mean, I could plow through that content and get to the end game to where I need to level my seasonal character, which is what I mean. All of these end things are about the end game, stuff. If I'm having to replay through the fucking story, not that it
Okay.
takes a terrible amount of time, like
Okay, so this is so Diablo 4 classes. This is everything that we're getting in season 1. I think I misspoke a little bit. So he said Rob Ferguson says that the amount of the map that you've exposed going into the season in the Eternal Realm where your current characters are will be what you see in this season. So you don't have to
Okay.
go and reveal the map again. You'll see the capital city waypoints too, although you'll have to revisit them to activate them. Finding all the Diablo 4 altars of Liliths is quite a pain too, so good news is that you won't have to rediscover those either. The ones that you
Cool.
found will stay marked, and you'll keep the stat bonuses, oval capacity, and renown claims from finding each of them. We'll preload you that renown, Ferguson explains, meaning that you'll start on your season 1 character with the renown you've already earned from map discoveries and altars. You will still have to clear out dungeons and strongholds as well as doing some side quests to max out your renown, however. So you won't be able to keep all of those high-end renown bonuses like bonuses, Diablo 4 Paragon bonuses, etc., etc. Ferguson says that the team is continuing to reevaluate what should and shouldn't be reset, so perhaps further changes will come in the future. I could have sworn that he said that you were going to have to redo the.
I think he just said you had to have a new character. It was not. It wasn't that you had to redo the story.
It's very possible. I probably interpreted that as I would have to do the storyline.
We
again.
will see.
If
Which
we have to do the
that part
storyline
makes-
again, I am going to be so upset because like I love the storyline. It's great. Lilith's a badass. Love her 100%. Don't want to watch it all again. Don't want to go over it all again.
Yeah, that like honestly, the last part, this tells you kind of how much I stand for story. The last part, the last section of that act, I loved it, but it got long in the fucking tooth when it was like,
Yeah, it
okay,
100% did,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ, we're killing this person again, and we have to go through again. Like, I don't want to ruin it because Bill's still going through it, but
Well,
like,
I know who you're talking about there. That one's yeah, I'm
So
already
that's-
feeling that, and I'm not even to the point you're talking about.
That's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. But moving back into why did this pause? Stupid
I
fucking.
think it
button.
paused when you went to look up other things.
Yeah, I don't know why I
Um,
paused. So there you go. It's back. But moving back into it, like it is a very big issue that I had with the original, like with moving through the campaign and everything like that, was like in order to get to certain storyline missions, it was sometimes like a solid like minute walk, of just me walking through.
it's a long
Of just me walking through basically desolate, barren map with intermittent enemies spread throughout it. I think that at one point I walked from the main city that you start out with to the city up to the northwest-ish area, the one that's you meet the second Haradrim, right? I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Donan, I think was his name.
Donan, yeah.
But like that right there, to me, I think I ran into like 5 packs, and I was just like, "This is the boringest fucking thing. Why do I have to walk? Like, why would you make me?"
Well, I mean,
this?
you're even seeing it. You're even seeing it here,
Yeah.
and this is where I think the game fails. Is you're even seeing it here inside of a dungeon. Like I have been walking since you started talking.
Yeah.
And I have not seen one enemy.
It's a big and like. So, do we want to talk about my gripes with the classes? We want to go into that.
Well, I want to give a little input. I haven't
go ahead.
felt that way with the moving across the map and stuff. Disclaimer: this is my first Diablo that I've actually committed time to. But I played a little bit of 3 and a little bit of Immortal, but that was really it. That being said, I don't mind the moving around too much. I have been playing primarily in co-op, so maybe that's helped out things a little bit. But I felt like while the camps and stuff, like the mobs and stuff, aren't as often as I would like, I do find myself on each travel coming across at least 1 or 2 of those world events that I find like engaging. Like I see that little gold ring start popping up on the mini map, and I'm like, okay, let's fucking go, boys.
For sure. They do a good job with like giving you like busy work, like side work, like the world events and everything like that. And I'm not saying that like the entire world is completely empty, because it's not. There is enemies out there, but it's one of those things where it's like, when I'm moving through the world and I'm trying to get that storyline done, because obviously I know that like the real game doesn't start progressing until you've finished the storyline, right? Like the real game. If you want to
Right.
get into like the grinding, like the real game
That's what I've
starts when you
yeah.
complete the
That's what
storyline.
I've heard. I've been talking to my cousin about it, and he's like, "Why are you even paying attention to the
Yeah,
story? Just skip all that shit and get to the end game." I was like,
pretty much.
but I'm having,
Granted,
fun."
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. If you're there to have fun and you're there to enjoy the game, the storyline is great. Like the game is enjoyable. The storyline is in, it is very entertaining, and it enraptures your attention, right? It grabs your attention, and you can get connected to the characters. But like if you're and I don't want to
If
say
you,
like
I
I
think
don't want to say like a real Diablo player, but like if you're
no,
an
I think it's just if you're a
experienced
veteran
Diablo
action.
player,
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a feeling, that the person that you talk to is probably a veteran action
Yeah.
RPG
He
player,
is. He
right? So
is.
so they know, just like we know, like not that it's like
it's
I mean,
not
I
that
enjoyed the
it's a waste
story.
of time, but like
Right.
it is kind of a waste of time.
Right, like the point that you get to in these games is to get to the end game to be able to start getting your grind and your loot and whatever else, which but that is fun. But for some like you who is just experiencing for the first time, don't skip the story.
For
Like
sure.
don't like go through the story, go
Do
through
the
the
story,
because
and
it
then
really
you can
is.
skip it. Like once you've
I would say
once
if
you've
it's
done it.
Diablo 3, skip through the fucking story because Diablo 3 story to me is boring as shit.
Yeah.
But this one for sure is engaging, as far as story is concerned.
But
And
yeah,
also, I think that once you get your horse bill, you're gonna see.
I've gotten my horse.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind.
yeah,
All
you
right,
get your
I
horse
stand
at
corrected.
the end of 4. So he's got his horse if he's halfway through 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
But yeah, so I don't know. I agree with you that like again, like I said, like the map isn't empty, but it's pretty damn near empty. Like honestly, it's more of a chore to go out and find those those camps of enemies than it is if you just like just let me go. I don't care. I don't want to sit there and kill the same bullshit over and over again in the open world if it's not going to actually do me any good. That's my opinion
Yeah.
personally. So
You want to talk about classes?
yes, I do. I do 100% want to talk about classes, because I hate the classes in this fucking game. Like 100%, dude. And it's not the classes, right? It's not the classes. It's the way that Blizzard has treated the fucking classes, right? We have not had a fucking buff since the game released. We have granted we didn't even have no, we haven't. We have not had a buff. Every single patch that they have released since the original what's it called? The Service Slam. Other than the Service Slam, when they buffed the
Necros a little bit.
the Necros a little, every single patch note has had nothing but nerfs to classes. And you can check me on that, but I'm almost 99.9% positive that's true, right? So we have had no, and
Even if it's not,
if we
it's been
have,
overwhelmingly
it's been
slanted.
it's been very, very minor, right? So we have had pretty much nothing but nerfs to the classes, which already makes the game feel rough to me, because I'm just like, okay, so I'm sitting here grinding out my power slide druid, my pulverized druid, right? And they nerf pulverized druid. Well, there goes that fucking build, right? Now I have to spend another 6 hours grinding new gear out just for them to fucking nerf that gear, right? So what do? I say, fuck it, I'm just gonna go and play another class. So I go and pick up sorcerer, right? They nerf fucking sorcerer, the Arquash, right? So there goes that fucking build right out the window. Another 6 hours worth of grind time, right? So what do? I go and play fucking rogue. What happens when I play rogue? They nerf rogue as well. It's just been nothing but like I pick a fucking class, and I still don't think that Necromancer is it, right? Like I'm playing Necromancer right now. I've been wanting to play Necromancer since the game announced, right? And since they announced that the Necromancer was going to be there. Necromancer is not a Necromancer. The summons are not good. They don't fucking work. They're too weak. I feel like a fucking babysitter, right? I'm constantly fucking babysitting my fucking summons because they take fatal damage to one gray mob hitting them, right? And if the only way to fucking counteract that is to invest 20 fucking points into passives, that still they fucking get completely smashed by a fucking boss within the first 2 fucking seconds of you encountering a fucking boss, right? Like
Plus
there's no
passives are a super feels
yeah,
bad
it's
during
rough.
like the leveling process.
It's
It,
so
it, it
bad.
doesn't feel like a power jump.
Like yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like legitimately, if I'm investing that many points into a passives that are supposed to make my summons feel like they're not like they're supposed to be there for the power creep, right? They don't feel that way. I am currently playing a blood necromancer where I'm like a half blood half summoner necromancer, right? I am to the point now where I don't want the summons anymore. I think I would personally do better if I just sacrificed the summons and got the passives, right? I would probably be doing a lot better, probably be doing be more tanky, be doing more damage, right? If I had sacrificed those minions and just said, fuck it, I'm just a blood necromancer, right? That's my
Right.
biggest thing with this with the entire class like architecture right now. And I was watching a video, and I'm sorry I'm taking up a lot of time with this, but like I have been
No,
waiting for 2
get it.
fucking weeks to get this out of my system. But I was watching a video last night where they were kind of he was kind of going over the stats. They released some stats the other day for like the most played classes. And then we also have stats from like the race for the world first to 100, right? The 1,000 to get on mommy,
which is completed, by the way.
it is completed, yes. To get
It is done.
to get on mommy Lilith's statue, but they released some information. Necromancer is the least played class in the entire fucking game, right? On top of that, Bone and Blood are the two most played builds for the Necromancer. Minions, surprisingly, is still 20%, but that's literally
I
for
was
people like me that are like, I
that
need to make this work, right?
yeah.
20% of the player base is like, I know summons suck, but I'm going to try and make it work. I have to try and make it work because it's the fucking class's entire reason for being. You don't play a necro to be a fucking bone lord. You don't play a necro to be a goddamn vampire. You play him to be a summoner. Like that's what you play necro for, man. All right, I got my shit out. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sam.
Okay, I want to come with a couple things. One correction. So, or not correct. Well, okay, we have had a buff that did happen to all classes that was pushed out on June 5th. So a game launched June 6th. This was
What
June 5th. This was
what was that buff?
technically so this what well, there was every class got a buff. I mean, there was
Of what?
except for hold on a sec. Except for no, every class got buffed. So barbarians got a buff to. I mean, you want me to go through each buff that they
Well,
got,
just give me like a general like
general
overview of it.
swaths was that like so necromancers everything got buffed for necros
It doesn't
to
feel
make
that way.
it says like damage got buffed
You
across
have to
the
remember
board
this
for
is the
all of.
pre-launch patch.
So this was June 5th. So yes, the game technically wasn't live. And also, to be fair, I will say that they stated that buffs and things like that were not going to happen this month. So,
Well, but
that's
still,
not excusing that.
yeah,
That the
that's
class
not
feels,
excusing anything. Like that's not
right.
like that the only reason why they came out and said the buffs weren't going to happen in this patch is because they're getting
People
so
were
much
pissed.
shit. Because every single fucking class feels rough.
I wouldn't say every class feels rough. I think
mean,
that, like,
for the most
rogues
part, a lot of the
and
like
sorts
rogues
feel good.
if you're not like okay, if you're not
a
playing
Twisting Blade
specific,
rogue.
if you're not playing specific broken builds, every class feels rough. If you're only playing the base level, like the most what's it
I mean,
called?
it's definitely meta. If you're
Meta
not playing a
builds,
meta
yeah.
build, like you're definitely hurting. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Barbarian, once I switched off my bar, was once I got to in game, I was like not struggling, but I was just like, well, this is boring.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
Barbarian
you know,
also built for endgame, and I think it's still like 90% whirlwind barbarians.
right.
And bleed.
Which
Thorn and bleed
yeah.
builds as well is huge on them. So
My
Gotcha.
biggest complaint with the classes is the fact that I think they went so heavy into the Paragon board and the legendaries being
yeah,
what's going to drive your character forward
100%.
versus I think that there's a balance that needs to be set with saying, hey, your skills should like the skill tree really is sad. Like it is a sad skill tree.
It's
There's not a
terrible.
lot of
Yeah.
choice variety there.
There is
Um,
0 choice variety,
you
man.
know,
Like
If you want
legitimately
to be
very
competitive in
few.
the end game, from what I hear.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
Which
not,
granted, moving from like Diablo 3 and even Diablo 2, like they had their meta builds in both of those games. And yeah, 100% you can be like, well, if you weren't playing a meta build in like Diablo 3, you weren't actually playing Diablo 3 very well, right? A lot of people would have thought that way, you know. But like I still feel like even in Diablo 3, which was huge with meta builds, you could still get away with other builds. Like you could still feel fairly powerful with just like a random fucking build that you made off the fly. In this
right.
game, you can't do that. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's rough. I mean, it definitely is a rough situation. With the build variety, because also like in Diablo 3, we had a lot more options to spells. Like we had,
Yeah. And that is one
and
thing that I hate about the sorcerer as well, is like coming from like I mainline sorcerer a lot in Diablo 3 because obviously they didn't have necro until they released it in that last in that I can't remember what the DLC
like
name
half
was, but yeah,
expansion
the
thing.
the expansion or whatever it was, right? But like I mainlined sorcerer for the longest time, and like this sorcerer feels like half of a sorcerer. Like it feels like most of your abilities are just gone. You know, there's just no
Yeah,
customization. Like there is absolutely zero customization. When it came down to like sorcerer in Diablo 3, you could customize like what your abilities did. Like if you didn't necessarily want to be uh like a fire sorcerer, you could make some of your abilities into like lightning or poison or et cetera, whatever it was, right? In this one,
Right.
you're shoehorned into you either go down the electrical route, you either go down the fire route, or you go down the frost route. That's all you got.
now what I will say, the because I know we've bashed on it, and I at the very start of this I said like I'm loving the game. I'm putting like I'm putting a shit ton of hours into the game. I have 3 disc plates that I literally bought that I'm waiting to put up that are Diablo 4 themed. Like I've spent more money than I probably should on the game. Um,
Blizzard Shell.
sure.
100%. Yep.
Uh,
Blizzard chill.
but what the positive stuff I will say about it is that the hook that is there to continue to grind out with right now as it stands for me is that hunt for those uniques and the legendaries because they made it a little bit because they made it more difficult to find these items. Like it wasn't just like a hey, we're going to because Handy's not like Handy because in Diablo 3 they pop. I mean, uniques stuff like that. Like you got your build extremely fucking quick, and when you got it, like the only thing that you were hunting for were now max rolls. And to me, that was like fun for a while, but at a certain point, I don't fucking want to just sit there and run for max rolls. Not to say that this is not going to happen in this game because that will, but there is a hunt because you don't know like when the uniques are going to drop. There are these unique things that are happening. So I hope they build on that and then fix like they're not going to be able to I don't see them adding fucking new skills to the game.
No,
Um
I don't see them doing
but
anything with that.
I
They
think
might
that they
edit the current
can
skills that they have, but
yeah, and maybe they can give it into like a Paragon board system. I don't know, right? But I think that there is a system that
that's
they can buff to
that's
make
the
the characters
worst
feel better.
that's the worst part about this game is like they really did go down the route of like your entire build is based off of paragon levels and what uniques you have, right? Instead of making the current like the base skills feel decent, so if you wanted to, you could just make a build off of the base level skills that you get. It's a lot more focused on like you have to have this legendary or you have to have this unique, you know. That's what it feels like to me
Yeah.
at least.
I honestly
Yeah.
think that they needed to have about I would say 5 to 10 more
I think
abilities
they
per
needed like
class.
2 or 3 more trees in your
Yeah.
in that that class, like in your ability tree, right? Like they needed like 2 or 3 more branches, in my
I'm
opinion.
sure it'll
Yeah.
be DLC in the future.
Yeah, you'll have to pay
Hopefully.
for it. Well, 100%.
Yeah.
Um
It'll be $20 and you can
Well,
get 2 or 3 more trees.
one thing that I want to talk about, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, is I wasn't expecting this to be a game where everything scales to your level. Is that like a normal Diablo thing?
No, this is
And
the
how do
scales
you
is
feel
everything for
about it? Because
D4.
I'm of the mindset that I would prefer like level gated dungeons to
Yeah.
like the way I like my progression is I like static, like the overworld can scale to you. That's fine. but like your dungeons, this is a level 70 dungeon, this is a level 80 dungeon, that kind of stuff.
For sure.
And you're scaling up to like take those dungeons on instead of, okay, well, everything's going to be roughly your level and your gear is where you do things quicker, but it's always going to be a challenge no matter what. But you have access to everything all at once. I
It
feel
has
like that kind of
it's been
limits
a
the
it's been a complaint of mine for sure. I think that's one thing that makes the druid feel extremely rough to play is because the druid doesn't do like they can do a ton of damage. Don't get me wrong, druids do a shit ton of damage depending on the build that you play, right? But like early on when you're playing a druid, it feels so fucking slow just simply because everything scales with you. So like you progress to a certain point and you feel like, oh, I'm starting to actually like be able to take things out quickly, and then you hit that scale mark and then it boosts everything up to your current power level, and you go right back to square one where you're just like, I'm getting murdered by everything, you know?
right. Yeah.
Well,
I like a more static progression, I guess is what
So
I'm
do I.
saying.
Yeah.
So how do you feel?
it's funny. Well, so okay, they do it, and they do like half and half, and the problem is they don't do.
Do they?
Yeah, so you
Yes,
have
so
parts of the world are
certain parts of the world
still
are
are s-
still
right,
locked
like are
for
still
yeah.
a character class. So after you beat the game, right, you start a new character. You can go to well, you don't have to start. You can start a new character whenever, but you start your character, and like if I go from Kaivashad, then I go over to the desert area. I don't know
Wait,
why
wait.
the dry
How
steeps.
how did you pronounce that town?
Kaivashad,
Kiovashed.
whatever. Fucking this is a starter town. I don't give a fuck
Kravashad.
what you say.
Shot shit.
You
I
start,
don't, I don't speak no Russianese. It's Kravashad, man.
oh my god, the dark steps are level gated at
Are you sure it's
at a
not the dark
certain
steeps?
they're oh my god, they're level gated at a certain point. Um you're making me want to like literally puncture my other ear. So anyway, it's so you have parts of that, right?
Okay.
So you still have like where you're really shouldn't be in this zone, but what happens is that once you can still go there, you can and things will still scale uh appropriately to your level once you've hit that place. What I was going to bring up where the bad part is that everybody bitched about the hunt the world first, right? The or not world first, but the first world first 1,000 hardcore. Everybody talked about, well, it's unfair that there people are going to be able to have the map unlocked. Just I want to what I want to hit on what makes it unfair, and this talks about the leveling system is that's great. So you stop them from being able to do that. 2 days ago or a week ago, we were at 167 people, right? That had unlocked it. Or maybe 2 weeks ago. I think it was a week ago. But
Mhm.
either way, not that long
We're talking
ago.
about the power levelers.
Yes. And so they did nothing to stop power leveling, which I get in Diablo is a thing. Like that's always been a thing to be able to just power level
Boost to end game.
somebody. But I find it hilarious how nobody is being like, wait a minute, like, hold on 1 second. So 5 people got to end game, or 167 people got to end game, and then they just took 200 of their friends. And actually, fun fact, people were selling runs to get them to that point. There was a guy that was selling it for $200 a pop to
I
get
believe it.
them to the 1,000 mark.
It's easy money,
So
baby.
the power leveling to me is where it's a problem because it still scales. And if you have someone like Enigma that was higher, like he's helping me through with my Necro, getting me up. I went through what fucking like 15 levels in like a matter of 5 minutes with him.
You didn't. You
Doing
went
stuff.
through 3. I got
No, I
there and
did
I
not.
got you to like third. You were at like 11 or 12, and I got you to like 15.
No way.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm pretty
to
anyway,
put it in a
regardless.
better perspective, my cousin started a new hardcore character yesterday, and within an hour and a half was up to level 50.
Yeah, and
Woo!
like the biggest thing with that is like I understand where you're coming from with that, but like you got to also remember that like again, people have the information now. Like it's been a week. People have been posting like the best place to grind for experience, the best place to grind for money, the best place to grind for like they've been in Blizzard's been actively like trying to nerf that too. Like a lot of their nerfs that they've been doing have been on like
XP
dungeon
generation.
XP generation and everything like that. Yeah. So like that's also a huge reason why you're starting to see like a huge boost in people starting to be able to like hit that rank or hit that 100, right? Is because we now have the information that those people obtained prior to them fucking playing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. The leveling system, I will say once you get past 50 is when to me I started to feel like fuck me, man. This is slow going.
Yeah.
How is the end game though? Is the end game
I mean,
feel good?
I enjoy it. Like I said, I mean, I enjoy going and
Do you like grind though?
Yeah.
I do, but I also the nice thing about the end game is that it though you don't like if you're like me, you don't once you've gotten to the end game and now like you're going through all of like the whispers of the damned or tree of
Tree
whispers
of Whispers.
you're doing like the PvP stuff. You're kind of just going through the points to go see them. But I will say it is taking you to places in the world that I think if you didn't spend time exploring, like you actually get to see. So the one thing I will say is that yes, we said that the world is barren, but it is in like I have enjoyed spending time in the world, going from the different points to see the different like, little nooks and crannies of what artistically is there from the world that they did build. And the end game I mean, I like it because it is, yes, I go from here to here to here. I know what to do. I get like I'm getting drops, I'm getting unlocks to be able to get myself to the next world tier. I'm getting nightmare sigil dungeons. It's more I think it's more fun than what D3's end game was. Because D3's end game became just I'm gonna run greater glyphs, greater rift
I
dungeons
mean,
and just
that's what they're
keep
that's what
pushing
they're
and keep pushing and keep
that's what
pushing.
they're trying to push on D4 though.
Well, I mean, they're doing it with the nightmare sigils.
Yeah, they don't want you out in the open world doing events and shit. They want you doing nightmare sigils. That's what they want you to be doing. That's the
Right,
end
but to be
game
able
that
to
they
get
want.
And that's
but
why
to
they've
be
been
able to
nerfing dungeons.
That's why they've
as
been
much as they
nerfing
have been.
dungeons. That's why they've been nerfing and buffing. I think the next buff that we're gonna get is for nightmare dungeon like loot drops and everything like that.
Well, right. What I'm saying is that you still have to do the outworld open world stuff to be able to get the nightmare sigils to then run the nightmare sigils. Whereas before you would just in D3 you'd unlock the glyphs, right? And or
Oh, no, you had to do open world in
greater
D3
rifts.
to get greater rift keys.
You you could still yeah, but you could still do the greater rift without not or the you could still do the rifts without having to make them a Nephilim. Or you could do the Nephilim rifts, not the greater rifts.
Yeah, you could do the Nephilim rifts, but that wasn't end game. The greater rifts was end game.
Well, it was also all part of in game. I mean, that
Well,
was
no,
you didn't do
Nephilim, the
you,
Nephilim stuff was like the open world shit that we're doing, like the events in the open world in D4. Greater Rifts is the end game for D3, and you had to do open world stuff. You had to do quests to get the keys for that.
I don't know. I still
So
feel like
there's no difference between this one's end game and D3 other than you're doing it with a bunch of other people, essentially.
I don't know. I feel like this in game is more compelling than what D3's in game was.
I like the world bosses.
The world boss is fun.
Yeah.
I've done two of them. I did Avasta, or what was his name? The one that we had in the beta? Ashava. I did Ashava the other day, and then I did Greed or whatever his name was, the dude with the giant swinging hammer the other day. That was pretty cool. I actually think that one was easier than Ashava or whatever his name is. I think that one was much easier than Ashava, like 100 times easier than Ashava, man.
Yeah, I think again, there's a lot of we've talked a lot of bad, not or we've nitpicked the game a lot, which saying it rightfully deserves.
Yeah.
It does. It rightfully deserves to get nitpicked. What I will say though is that jumping into the game, playing it when you're in it and you're playing it and you're engrossed, right? Even though there are some pain points, it's still in my mind, I still have fun. I am still having a blast with it. I am still compelled every single night to turn my game on to get some grind time in to play it. It's still new.
I got 350s now. 350s,
so there you go.
I'm still like, this game, fuck, I hate this. Why am I making more characters?
Why am I still playing this?
I already know that this fucking fourth fucking druid that I'm going to build is just as shit as the last druid that I fucking built. Why the fuck am I building a new one?
He's a little crazy. He has 3 fucking druids. I don't do that. I don't
that's
make the
because
same class
that's
over and
because
over
this game, Diablo and Blizzard in their infinite knowledge have made it so that you can't respec your fucking character easily. If you build a character out to be something, it costs hours, a lot of hours in some cases, depending on how
Yeah, a
much
lot of
gear you
gold.
got, and a fuckload of gold to respec shit. If you're far enough into it, right? It's easier to make an entirely new character than it is to try and respec and re-gear one character.
Do you think they'll ever add loadouts?
I sincerely fucking hope so. And
I think
I hope that they
Just for
bring
quality of life.
I hope that they bring down the gold cost as well for respecing, because like
Yeah, the gold cost
agree,
needs to come down.
I agree that the gold cost needs to be there. There needs to be a gold sink, but that is too much. Entirely too much. And it's been too much since the beta, and they knew about it and they still fucking released it.
Yeah, it's rough. Because I am a person that respects a lot, and I have burned through some cash, like some
I
gold.
respect a lot too, but I
Yeah.
also haven't hit the end game where the
Well, and
price
again, the
like,
end game.
is like
It's not just
to the
respecing.
moon.
Yeah, it's not just respecing your talent, your characters, the tree, the talent tree. When you get into your paragons, respecing your paragons costs millions.
I thought your Paragon was free. I think your
No,
Paragon respect
no,
Paragon is free.
your paragon is not free. It costs
When-
millions.
Is it free? Is it free for the first one? Because I haven't. Even, I've been
It
respecting
might be.
my Paragon
It
and
might be
haven't
like
had any-
It might be like the talent tree where it's like it's free up until a certain point. But yeah, if you get far enough in it, it costs millions.
Because I know the big sink that I'm having a problem with is the imprinting. Like that
The
shit.
imprinting is huge too.
is-
Yeah,
is
imprinting
fucking-
imprinting is rough with gold costs as well as like special crafting costs too. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, okay.
I have
It is.
I have a ton of
It is
issues
on the
with
Paragon.
it.
I've not hit.
Yeah,
I've not hit it yet on
it's-
Paragon, but
it's
it does
huge on
cost
the
gold.
Paragons, dude. It's huge, and the fact that you have a ton of Paragons that you like, if you're sitting there trying to make a build, and
Ooh, 10 million is what it costs to respec a whole Paragon tree.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
So-
Oh my god,
yep,
that's crazy.
it's I don't know, man. There's good things, there's bad things. There's a lot more bad things in my opinion than there are good things, but it's fun. It's Diablo. I don't know how much fun I'm having with it, but I'm having some fun at least.
I don't know. I'm having a blast.
I
still
wish
am loving the
they
game, and-
wouldn't have fucked over my necromancer so hard, but you know.
I get
Glad
it.
everybody else is
All
having
right.
fun on their specific on their classes. I'm not. Thank you for checking out the patch notes. If you enjoyed this small selection from our podcast, come join us every Thursday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern for the full unfiltered pre-patch podcast. And check out our past shows on anchor.fm/prepatch podcast.